Welcome back to another episode of the Back in Time podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Autry, joined as always by my
And Kyle is gone. So once again, I am all alone. Kyle, you have hit the wrong button. It also doesn't say that it's recording.
You know what? We're still live. I hit the wrong button. That happens, but let me start the intro over, man. Welcome to the Back in Time podcast. I am your host, Kyle Autry, joined as always by my co-host JD, who will not disappear in a second. How's it going, man?
Good. So now the broadcast is live. It says on my end, so I don't know what the hell is going on. So for the one or two audience members that are watching us, I'm doing pretty well. I had a great weekend. It's been rainy as hell over in my parts, which has been fine because it's been a bit of a heat wave. And, a shout out and congrats to my SideQuest podcast member, Eric, for he had his wedding this past weekend, and that was a hell of a time.
Yeah.
I may have slipped on water on the dance floor, and my side still hurts.
Of course you did. That adds up completely. No, shout out to Eric. That's fantastic. I saw that on Facebook. I threw him a little congrats on there, but that's awesome, man. If I had a bottle that I could break and give you a mazel tov, I would. How about a Powerade crunch?
Oh, that sounded like a juicy turd. I don't like that.
No. Did not like that at all. But no, we shout out to him. I think that's awesome. And shout out to all of our listeners. We've been getting a lot of new followers here on YouTube. A lot of people checking out the show for the first time. If you're new to the episode, maybe you were just looking for something on the movie Twister, and now we popped up on your screen. JD, tell our audience a little bit about what the teaser trailer episode is and what they might expect from the full episode here in a couple of days.
So the teaser episode, as Kyle sort of alluded to, is kind of like an appetizer to the full episode. We get into a little bit of the numbers. We talk about when the movie came out, some of the competition. We talk about some of the critics and audience response to it. Again, it's Ors Duvers. If you just want to see some of that little bit of a nuggets in there. And then if you want to get into a deep dive of the actual movie, and we've got a great guest on for this episode. And, it's a fantastic, I don't know if it's, is it a secret? Is mum the word, or do we get to?
No, go ahead, man.
We have Paranormal Pat, who's guest of the year in 2019.
Yep.
Joining us for the Twister episode, where we really get to the bread and butter of Twister, scene by scene, breaking down all the quality moments of Bill Pullman and all the crappy moments of Bill Paxton. Wait, did I get that wrong again?
You always mix up the bills, man.
I do. So it's a little bit of the comedy cha-cha-cha-cha that you get to see on the full episode.
Kick the tires and wait, nope, that's the Bill Pullman movie. Son of a... All right.
And who's Dennis Quaid now?
I don't know. That's a good question. Now, JD, as we normally do on this episode, we're going to be watching the trailer together here, a little watch and react. Are you ready to hit play on this bad boy?
Oh, hell yeah, man. Let's do it.
Okay. I'm going to pop it up here. I had it all queued up, but after I knocked myself off the chat, got rid of that. So here we go. Let's go ahead and watch this thing.
There is a mystery. Elusive. Unpredictable. Violent. It terrifies most scientists. But for a new breed, the challenge is saving lives.
The audio cutting in and out for you too?
Oh yeah, it sounds like
the laboratory is nature itself.
And potentially could be... Let's stop that, because that's annoying me. And nobody wants to watch that. I don't know why the audio is going bad on it. I'll find a workaround for this. Bear with me. But why don't we, instead of watching the trailer first, why don't we shoot over to some box office numbers, and then we can kind of circle back to the trailer toward the end here.
Cool.
So, JD, I'll just start with some backstory here. So obviously we know the movie takes place in 1996. We talked about this earlier in the month about, Twister was a pretty massive hit. So it was a May release. So kind of beginning of the summer movie here, blockbuster, May 10th, 1996. It's got a runtime of 1 hour and 53 minutes. They've got a budget of $92 million. So pretty big, man. That might be one of the more expensive movies we've covered in the 90s, at least to my memory. Can you think of any that were higher? I mean, maybe T2 might have been up there.
We would have to dive into our archive to really dig up some of those numbers. But 92, I could make you 92 $1 million movies that would make you back $1 million. Hollywood, that $92 million is $184 million under the JD Tower of Power.
So obviously, first week, they absolutely killed it here. First weekend, right out the bat, we're talking about a $41.9 million opening. And then following that up, obviously, they were ranked number one that week at the box office, doing fantastic. Week two, they would stay at the number one spot, bringing in another $37 million over the 10-day period. So we're looking at $95 million, JD, in the first 10 days of the release. What do we think about those numbers?
No, those are some sturdy numbers, and I bet they only go up from there.
They only go up. So they would drop one spot, but lucky for them, it was actually Memorial Day weekend in week 3. So they've got the extra day. They bring in another $37.9 million, taking their total up to $144 million. JD, do you think the schoolyard effect is in play here?
Oh, it has to be. It has to be.
Has to be, right? And for those who might be new to the show, explain again, like what do we consider the schoolyard effect?
So basically, in its most innocent form, the schoolyard effect is when you haven't seen a movie and you're at recess and Jimmy Joe and Billy Bob and Kyle, I'm assuming your middle name is Washington.
It's not far off of that, to be honest. It's Wade.
Oh my gosh. And I knew that. I knew that. But Washington was a good guess, obviously. Once the seeds begin to spread about how good a movie is, and you haven't jumped on the board opening weekend, and you go see it, the schoolyard effect, and we have a technical designation for it, which I forget. You're better at saying that. It's the number. It has to have been in, what is it?
Top 10 for 5 weeks.
That's it. See, that's why Kyle's the man.
Yep. So, and they definitely did that with Twister. It would stay in the top 10 actually for 10 weeks, on its way to grossing a domestic gross of $241,721,524. So, pretty good take at the box office for Twister overall. JD, I'll see if I can dig up some international numbers. It's not showing anything on here, but like, does that surprise you? I think we had talked earlier. I think it was number 2 in 96 behind Independence Day as highest grossing movie of the year.
Yeah, no, that's I mean, it's not surprising. It all adds up. I mean, it's a summer disaster movie that just it's fucking fun. It's just like
it kills it. And yeah, I kind of skipped over this because the trailer threw me for a Fruit Loop, but stole your line. But do you remember, like, was this something you saw on VHS? Was this something you saw years later? It feels like maybe not at 11 years old you're getting rushed out to the theater for this one.
No, this was definitely a family VHS rental. It was a blockbuster night for us.
Okay.
It came out in late spring of 96, so probably hit Blockbuster November or February the following year would be my guess. Yeah, Yeah, it was definitely something that we picked up and watched then.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm remembering about the movie too. Kind of my first watch being that whole, when you'd go to the Blockbuster and they'd have that shelf and it was just full of the box art, and you're just rushing over there hoping there's a copy behind one of them and they're not all sold out already. And if they are, you're waiting by the drop box hoping somebody returns one.
Oh my gosh.
Did you ever do that? Because I remember like hassling them. I'm like, hey, can you check one more time? Did anybody drop off Twister yet?
And we're expecting another one in by 8 p.m. tonight.
You're like, well, it's 8:03, so pass the tardy sauce. So yeah, no, this was definitely a VH rental for. I wish I would have saw this in theaters though. That would have been pretty cool. Maybe a little terrifying though for an 11-year-old.
A little terrifying for sure, but as we talked about earlier, the Universal experience was that more or less terrifying than what we would have gotten in theaters.
Right. That's true. And then just to put a bow on the final box office numbers here. So internationally, they did really well. So another 254 million. So the worldwide total for Twister, $495 million, 700,000.
That lands them at a pretty penny.
Yeah. Yeah. You're making $500 million. Not bad at all. So I think I have another copy of the trailer. We'll try and give this one more chance, and hopefully it plays without audio issues. But let's go ahead and fire this back up and see what we can figure out here. Of course, it's being a little slow. Have you ever watched the trailer? Because I can tell you the 10 seconds that I watched of it so far, I was like, ooh, I don't think I've ever seen this.
I'm sure I have to have seen it. It has to have played on TV at one point in my childhood. In our childhood, we have to have seen it. Okay. As an adult, definitely not. I couldn't tell you one damn thing that I'm expecting out of this trailer.
Okay, here we go. Fingers crossed. Let's hope there's no audio issues here.
There is a mystery.
And there's audio issues.
Yeah.
Elusive.
Well, let's kind of fast forward through a little bit.
The research is deadly. The laboratory is nature itself.
Yeah. Well, what I'll do is I'll plug in the audio version into our normal podcast. So if you're listening to this on the Apple version, you'll get the nice clean version where you can hear everything. It'll be nice for you. But apologize for our YouTube listeners. We can't get that to work. That's a first. So
yeah, well, everyone has their first.
That'll happen. Hey, at least my mic works today.
Hey, that's another first.
That's a bonus. Gotta take them where you can get them. I will tell you this: from the little we got to watch of the trailer, it seems to be taking like a real serious tone. And Twister, I think, is a very comedic, like funny movie. I don't get any of that in the trailer. Are you surprised at all that it's not like maybe a better mix of the comedy and action?
Yeah, I think I agree with you like wholeheartedly. I think that they had a picture in mind that they were wanting to sell to the audience. And I mean, it's called Twister. It's not called Divorce Papers or something like that. They're really just focused in on the disaster element of the movie. And in that regard, from what we've seen of the trailer, and from listeners, what you will catch up in retrograde from what we fumbled upon, is really an excellent job of portraying just how scary a tornado can be. Right.
Yeah, I think I would have liked to have watched a little bit more of the comedy. I did. I mean, obviously, I recorded on my phone, so I watched it earlier today, but it's not the best trailer. We've had much better trailers for worse movies that we've covered on here.
But the voice guy is on point.
He's good.
He is
really good.
Peak game. He's got a beak upon his nose that he's using to just snatch up every seed he can.
Do you think the voiceover guys, do you think they made pretty good money doing all these trailers?
More than you or I.
Yeah. I don't
So-
doubt that for a second. I want to know like what else they did outside of voicing over movies. Like if they were like cartoons or I need to do more research on the voices from our childhood.
I think that you just invented a documentary.
Cool. There we go.
I really think you just did. The voices of our childhood. We got the Micro Machines guy.
Mhm.
We've got the Dunkin' Donuts. It's time to make the donuts guy. We've got
Best
Tim.
part of waking up. Who sings the Folger song, man?
Who does?
I need
And-
to know.
You need to know, and lest we not forget.
That's got to be Tim Allen, though, right?
Doing the Folger song for sure.
Oh yeah, good stuff. Let's jump into some reviews. So I always like to jump into the critics and audience. How did they respond to Twister? Is this going to give us anything that maybe we want to cover when we get into the full episode with Pat? JD, putting you on the spot here. Obviously, we're using Rotten Tomatoes as we always have on here. How do you think the critics received Twister right out the gate?
Boom, 82.
Okay, great. And then why?
Because it's a big movie that delivers on a lot of promises. There is the comedy element, there's levels of a family element, but at the same time, it's not the movie that the trailer essentially suggests that it'll be. So if you see the trailer and then you go in to watch Twister, you're kind of like, okay, I don't want to see them eating a big breakfast.
Okay.
And I think that left critics with a little bit of disdain. So that's my thought.
Interesting. Do you want to give an audience guess before I give you the numbers here?
I'm going to call the audience at 77.
Okay. Wow, you're a little bit higher on this movie than everybody else was apparently
Oh,
because
shit.
Twister came in at 60% on the tomato meter and a 58% audience score.
Apparently, I watched a different movie than everyone else.
Well, a couple of the top critics that we've talked about for a long time, I think we're kind of on the same wavelength as you. So I'll give you a couple of the reviews here. James Berardinelli from Real Views gave the movie a 3 out of 4 score and said it's a motion picture roller coaster, fun, fast, and furious, as long as you don't think too hard.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, not bad. Janet Maslin of the New York Times gave it a positive review and said, science aside, it's not hard to feel that these excitable characters are a wee bit berserk, but the movie works as escapism, even if you do not know long enough if you're going to come in or out of the rain. So, well, all right. So basically, it's good characters and it's an escapism.
And what more should a movie be?
Sure, that's fair. Let's get a negative one in here. Roger Ebert,
Oh,
Chicago
no.
Sun-Times. He wasn't real negative, but he did give it only 2.5 out of 4. And he said the movie is wall to wall with special effects, and they're all convincing. Although it's impossible for me to explain how Bill and Joe escape serious injury while staring right into the suck zone of the finger of God.
He paid attention to the movie. He's quoting it in his review there.
It's the suck zone, man. I don't know. Also, I love this comment. Might be a Kickstarter, that documentary idea. Just saying, we got to throw it out there.
No, I think we need a Kickstarter to fund the Kickstarter.
Right.
So audience, as you're listening now, please Venmo us all your monies.
Right. You'll get a credit. We won't get anything else for you. Got to pay when it comes out too. But you got a credit.
Mm.
Fair, right? I think it's fair.
And Sinha's going to be the casting agent.
No problem. NP.
1 million US NP.
Okay. That's super insider there. Nobody has any clue what we're talking about.
Except for him, he's listening.
He might be.
If he's alive.
I wonder what time it is in Calcutta.
Tomorrow.
Is it next day already? Well, and it's disappointing because we didn't get to watch the trailer. I mean, we kind of got the gist of it, but what are you looking forward to most when we jump into the full review here, which should be dropping everywhere, even right here on YouTube on Wednesday? What are you looking forward to most?
I think I'm looking forward to the energy that Pat's going to bring. I think that this is a perfect movie to have him on for. Audience, if you've checked out any in our archive that we've had him on, and there's plenty of Pat. He brings an opinion with some thunder and some venom, and it's awesome. So I'm looking forward to just chatting him up about the movie a little bit. I'm looking forward to chatting with you about some of the comedy elements, some of the stuff that goes outside the action that we get to have, and really focusing on a lot of the different actors and the bit part actors that we have in this movie that, go beyond Mr. Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah. Phil Hoffman is fantastic in this movie, but if you really pay attention to the rest of the ensemble and just watch them in the background, it makes the movie even better.
It does.
I mean, watch the guy that's like, he's going to the lens, he's like cleaning it out every time there's a stop. Rabbit's rolling his maps even when he doesn't need to. Like Joe's like center front, and if you look in the background, Rabbit will be looking at a map and then rolling it. It's fantastic. Like
the
just
attention,
the way that they're able to like grab that little bit of screen time. it's perfect.
It is. And so what about you? What are you looking forward to, Kyle?
Yeah, I love the comedy aspects, and then this movie has some really awesome practical effects. It's really one of the last true like Hollywood big budget practical effect movies that happened in the 90s. And then we went to a lot of CGI after that. So I think kind of diving into some of those aspects of the filmmaking will be really fun. And then hearing, from like a storyline standpoint, if some of this even makes sense, because I know some of it's really convenient, and they are like scot-free pretty much the entire movie. So
yeah,
I wonder at what point we're going to be like, okay, somebody needs to die.
It's just the whole audience, hold on, bunker down, grab the door to your shelter and hold it tight, and don't hide from the storm because the full episode is coming.
Yeah, the full episode is coming. I'm going to end with a little Bill Paxton to get us excited about the movie. But before I do, make sure you guys subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, CastBox, anywhere you listen to podcasts, you can find us. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. If you like what you hear, down in the comments, tell us what you want us to cover next month. We've got no plans yet for July or August or September, so throw some ideas down in the comments for us. We'll definitely take a look at them. You can follow us on social media at Back in Time Pod. I'm at Kautry29. JD is at Unjust Justin. And let's end on this, JD. I think we're going in.
Boom. Love it.
Little Bill Paxton.
No, it's good by you.
Not bad.